Hey, good afternoon, Michael Map here. Doing a little walk here. Need to pick up my allergies. Once I do this walk, I'll start sneezing. Crazy. But anyways, hey, want to do a video. I haven't done a video, and the markets have been pretty stagnant. That's what stagflation is. Even though you got to take a grain of salt the jobs report. People probably working two jobs. People are getting laid off. At least where I work, they cut some people in our department, and they cut some people in the headquarters. So it's happening everywhere. Supposedly AI is gonna take over, and that's all we hear on the news. And now we have this thing with the Apple Vision, only $3,500 for some glasses. But that's tech story to inflate their numbers and get opportunity to maybe get their stock higher and sell more shares out there. Who knows? I'm not saying that not saying that technology is not the future. It is, but I think there's hype in there, and I'm kind of skittish with the Nasdaq. Don't want to be in the Nasdaq or S&P, and it's kind of crazy and scary, like that. Your Apple, your Meta, your Googles, who else? Microsoft, Amazon. These companies make a big chunk of the S&P 500. I mean, a big chunk. So when these correct, because a lot of them are overvalued, in my opinion, those indexes are going to take a hit. And that's why you saw the small caps up over 2.5%. And I wanted to start getting into small caps. So right now, I'll just tell you a little bit what I'm doing. Besides trying to always stay out of debt, which is numero uno, stay out of debt. Have all your ducks in a row. Live a simplistic life. Try and have a low overhead. That's my recommendation. I know I'm a little bit older, maybe compared to the audience that may be listening, may be younger. That's the advice I can tell you. Try not to get in debt or get into college debt. If you're thinking about going to college, make sure that you're studying something that you're passionate about and you want to wake up every morning and do. If not, don't do it. And you don't need to drive the nicest, newest car. Don't need that. You could be weird and drive an older car that may be beat up. As long as you got some money in your pocket and you're trying to set yourself free from this slave system that we have, unfortunately, you're doing the right thing. It's okay to be weird and be the one that sacrifices, because you got to do sacrifices to get to that level. Put away those vacations or those fancy restaurant deals, and just happiness comes from within. You don't need the latest iPhone or headset for $3,500, or Lululemon pants, or Gucci purse, or not saying not to splurge a little bit on yourself, but do it on things that you really, really, really need. You need a good pair of sneakers, sure. You need a good pair of sneakers, so when you go walking, your feet feel good. Or you need a good bed for your back. Those are necessities, but don't go overboard. You don't need all the fancy jewelry or watches, or it's not necessary. Just in my opinion. But you can say you only live once, I guess. But to each his own. So I was reading an article that like 6 out of 10 Americans' retirements are no good, no bueno. So we don't know what's going to happen to Social Security with us running a 32 trillion debt time bomb. Our government's running deficits and printing money, and we don't know what Social Security is going to be all about in the future, especially for like a guy like me. So make sure you're maxing out those Roth IRAs, and if you got in your 401k plan, if you have that Roth option, it's better to do that, because when you get older, you can take that money out tax-free. look at it for the long term. Right now, it's hard to speculate. There's no volatility right now to do options to get good premiums. I think the VIX last I checked was under 15. And I hope we don't get down to that level that we were at one point that was like 10 or 11. That's just ludicrous. And honestly, I don't know how there's not volatility out there. You know, I don't know if the last banking crisis that we had with Silicon Valley, and they printed a bunch of billions of dollars to rescue these banks, that these banks got that money and they put it into back into the market. It's possible. Market is pretty stable right now, but I don't know. I don't know how. I really don't. It's crazy. This lot right here, they sold this lot right here. This lot right here, they sold it for $600,000. That's crazy. It's got a nice lake, but they got to build a house now. Build a house there is gonna take, who knows, 200 grand. They just sold this one here for like 430, 450, something like that. Little old shack. It's crazy. Little old shack that 3-1, not even 800 square feet, and full of termites. But interest rates are like at 7%. It's crazy. And used car prices have been taking a hit. I've been telling you guys I gotta do a video. I gotta do a video of like an inventory that I have that I sell for my job, so you guys can see the prices out there on some of those used cars. I'm sure you guys will enjoy a video like that. But going back to the market, the dollar's hanging around 104. It's pretty amazing. I don't know how, with this debt ceiling, you know, and kicking the can down the road. I don't get it, man. But you know, I just keep doing what I'm doing long term. I'm in the 401k. I get the Fidelity. It's FKIDX, and I'm just putting all my marbles in there. I think it's like $13. It's from like $12.50 to $13 a share. So I'm just adding up units there on every paycheck, and when the dollar declines, that fund should really skyrocket. Because I think it will. I think the dollar will decline. Oil right now, $72 a barrel. OPEC cut production, and I think we're gonna see a big blast off in oil. With I mean, it's just range bound and it's up and down, and people have their thought process because of the cut, thinking there's so much weakness, but the consumer is, I don't know what they're doing. They're jacking the credit cards, because I know credit cards are all-time high. That is all-time high on credit card use. But all the airplanes are full. Summer's here. The cruise lines, they're reporting higher expectations going forward. And it seems like people are hitting the road. So, I mean, I think it's clear skies ahead with the SPR at 40-year lows. I think that as the United States has to refill those SPRs, we're going to be looking at higher prices, big time. So you can either. I'm not sticking to the futures. I'm in the XOP ETF and XLE, and they pay like a 3% dividend to 8. So that's a nice little ETF. The S&P is not a big. The energy sector is not a big percentage of the S&P, so it's not a real big correlation of oil with the S&P 500. Obviously, tech is the biggest weighting on that index. Ag space, I like John Deere. John Deere's been hit. I want to say it's between 350 and 375. I think you should be adding this stock. Unless you want to buy corn, wheat, or soybeans in the futures market. But I'd rather not buy that. Just buy maybe John Deere. These farmers are going to need John Deere equipment. And it pays a little dividend. So I like that stock. I've been picking up that stock. And believe it or not, there is a lot of deals in the retail sector. Now you got to be picky and choosy in the retail sector. I did a video on Ulta Beauty. But all the women like Ulta. And people are in there, the girls are in there buying stuff. I go with my daughter and my wife, and place is always full. And they're in, also, I think they have little kiosks in Targets and stuff like that. Tractor Supply has been beat up. That's another one for like farmers and stuff like that. That's a good one I like. Deckers with the UGG sneakers. I think that's a hidden gem that people don't really know about, that Decker owns. And these Hokas are really good sneakers. I love them. What else is out there? Precious metals. Precious metals got to be a part of your portfolio. You got to get that gold and silver. If you want to get the miners, you can get the GDX, GDXJ. Keep it simple. Just every extra dollar you have, try and put it away. Some into. Right now, I would try and stay away from S&P and NASDAQ. I think it's overvalued. That's just my opinion. I think you want to go with the energy sector, and you could do the ETFs I said. I think you got to go international. There's some international ETFs like EEM. There's a bunch of them, but EEM is probably the biggest one. Vanguard has one too. I do mine through my 401k, so I prefer to do it that way on that aspect. Crypto, 3 to 5% maybe. Keep it simple, 3 to 5%. Bitcoin and Ethereum, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't even go with Coinbase or any Riot or Mara, none of that stuff. Maybe just go Beetle or ETHE. And what else is out there? Copper. Copper is another asset class. Copper is it's not a precious metal, it's a metal. Industrial metal, big into housing. I don't know what kind of effects the housing market will have on copper, but copper is a big component in EVs. And EVs going mainstream. So you can either buy physical copper bars or rounds, or maybe buy Freeport-McMoRan, FCX, biggest miner in copper. Can do that if you want copper exposure. Tyson Foods has been beat up pretty big in the food sector. Or look at groceries like Kroger and stuff like that as people stay home and eat at home more as this thing gets tighter and tighter out there, and there's not a lot of discretionary income. Wow, these gnats are out of control. What else? Interest rates. Well, interest rates are up there. I don't know if they're going to keep going higher. We do have big news next week. I think the Fed meets on the 14th, and they're going to have a decision to make. Either they're going to raise or pause. I think Australia raised interest rates on a big surprise. Nobody was expecting Australia to raise interest rates. They raised interest rates. And everybody's raising interest rates. And everything that you want to own is going to cost more. House is going to cost more. Cars are going to cost more. This is a scramble, man. Everybody's looking for cars under 20 grand. And those, I put an article. I don't know if I put it on LinkedIn. I don't know where exactly I put it, but there was an article that said, cars under 20 grand are disappearing. They're decent cars, And that's what mainly dealers are looking for. But yeah, I think we have stagflation. I think everything is stagnant and the inflation's there. The market is boring as hell. I enjoy watching the markets all day, but it is boring, man. Oof. Really not much going on at all. I think Coinbase was moving around today, but for the most part, there's not much going on. So when there's not much going on, all you can do is set yourself up for what you see ahead and focus on the long term. And look for undervalued stuff. A lot of undervalued stuff out there. So keep your heads up. I'll try and do videos on the stuff that I'm picking up and adding. And obviously try and get stuff that pays a dividend, so I got paid to wait. But I have big correlation in energy right now, in the precious metals, international. Real estate, I got some investment property in my home. It's all pretty much how I want right now. If you want to go into alternative investments, you could do that, I guess. You can go Rally Road, or there's a thing called Masterpiece Work. People say that art is a big deal. I'm not sure about that. Never got into that. Rally Road, I've messed with a little bit. But that's not, it doesn't pay interest or anything like that. It's just a small percentage. of your extra income as savings. Definitely don't want to save in dollars. That's just my opinion. Some people like to, not me. I think that's a risky proposition, as they're gonna inflate this this debt away, because they're not gonna do the right things. They're not gonna cut spending. They're not gonna do none of that stuff. They're just gonna inflate away. And we see it in the news every day. The world is de-dollarization. They're trying to get away. The BRICS are trying to get away from the dollar, and it's unfortunate. You look at trade deficits. We have our trade deficits are exploding. All we do is import. We really don't export much. All we do is export dollars. Inflation. So eventually the world's gonna catch up to these things, and you gotta prepare yourself for the transfer of wealth, or the big move that's gonna happen, and the reset. So, anyways, I've been 15 minutes on the tube here. Hope you liked the video. Share it. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye bye.